How's it going, everybody? Doing a gum chewing movie ramble here today. All things movie related. You know, stuff I've seen in the theater, past movies, some favorite movies, which I've already talked about. Stuff like that. Just anything movie related. So, right off the gate, saw, well, this is going up Wednesday. I'm filming it Tuesday because I'm working tomorrow, so I gotta want something to be ready to put up for tomorrow, so I don't have to come home and then scramble to make a video when I'm tired. But we went to see Talk to Me last night at the Holtzville Island Cinema. I've never been to that theater, actually. It's an art theater. But I was talking to people about it on Instagram. I was talking to someone about it on Instagram, I should say. I'm thinking of the Haunted Mansion. A bunch of people messaged me, but I was talking with someone about Talk to Me, and they said it. They liked it. They saw it. They thought it was great. It looked really cool. It had come out last year. It's an Australian horror movie. It had come out last year over there. And I guess this past weekend, they released it. I guess everywhere else. I don't know for sure if it's out everywhere else, where it's out exactly, but it's out here. It was good. It was a different kind of take on the Possession movie. It's just not necessarily a different take, but a different way of it happening and stuff like that. And it was good. It was, had some creepy moments. But I liked it overall. I thought it was cool. Obviously, if you've seen the commercials, it's the hand. It's like a cement hand, kind of a mold, almost. And when you grab it, you say, "Talk to me," then you can see it goes, then you have to say, "I let you in," or something like that. And then you take possession, but you don't want to go further than 90 seconds. Because I guess you can get stuck, or it's harder to get free, or something, I forget. But it's cool, it gets to a point where I'm not gonna spoil anything for you. Just it's a really good. It's really good. I'd probably give it like an 8.5. I really liked it. Not overly long either, which is nice about horror movies. A lot of horror movies are usually maybe like an hour and 20 minutes to like an hour and 50 or 40, depending. Back in the day, well, horror movies like 80 to 88 minutes. But yeah, that was a good one. Next one we'll see in the theater is probably The Meg 2. That looks like just a good, stupid movie to see. It's not going to take itself seriously. It's going to be just over the top type of movie like the first one was. A Haunting in Venice looks pretty good. That's another one of the Poirot, is that how you say it, movies. I think they're Agatha Christie books, like Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express and stuff like that. And then There Were None, all that crap. It looks pretty good. It looks a little different from those because they have the haunting aspect in there now and stuff. It's the same kind of thing. Someone's dead. He's got to find out who did it. But now you have like the supernatural in the mix. What do we see? Trailers for the horror movies. I don't know. Craven the Hunter they showed. That looked kind of okay. I think they're doing some stuff with this character, like how it didn't work in the comics, but I wouldn't see that in the theater. I don't even know if I'd watch it. Like I said, I'm kind of past a lot of that stuff. I want to see Deadpool 3, but that's really about it. But they showed one for the next Nun movie. That looks pretty decent. Oh, my friend was telling me, he's like, this movie looks terrible. And we saw a trailer for it last night. It's the new Exorcist movie. It looks pretty stupid. I don't think anything's topping the first one, so I don't know why. Go. Horror movies are always the best to see in the theater, in my opinion. Especially if you have a crowd that's into it, but not overly, or not talking constantly. They're just reacting. The Blair Witch I saw, I've talked about. It's probably my favorite movie yet. It's the Blair Witch, A lot of people hate this movie. I love this movie. A lot of people love it too, but one of the first in the found footage movies. Not the first, but there's one called The Last Broadcast. It's up on Tubi now. I watched it like a year or two ago. I'd never seen it or heard of it. It came out like in '98. That one was pretty good. That was like a found footage kind of documentary almost, like trying to. It was kind of cool. That was actually kind of cool one. But this is just classic. And when I saw this in the theater, people were like on the edge of their seat, bugging out. People like crying and stuff, which I'm not personally crying, but hey, it adds to the atmosphere, right? Remember in Halloween H2O, it was packed, so everybody was just trying to grab seats, because back then you couldn't reserve seats, you just gotta get there. And usually you're just hiding to see a movie, like, freaking a half hour before you gotta get there, you know? And this guy and his girlfriend come in, and the guy jumps in the seat next to me, because it was open. There was like a section of 2 seats, and then the aisle, like the way the theater was, and this was Farmingdale, I believe. It's not set up like this anymore, I don't think. But there's like rows of 2 seats, aisle, middle section, aisle, another row of 2 seats going up, and then the bottom seats. And he launches in the seat next to me, pretty much ditching her. I think she ended up sitting across the way or something like that, maybe behind. And there's a part of this kid was like jumping out of his seat when shit would happen, and he's like, "Oh my god!" I started laughing. It was the same thing in Force Awakens, because my friends were on this side, and I had the seat across from them because it wasn't enough in that section, so I sat across. And there's people next to me, and me being me, I already read spoilers about this movie, so I knew it was coming. It's rare that I care about spoilers and stuff. I do sometimes, but most of the time I just don't care. And it was when, spoilers, here it comes, when Han Solo gets killed, and the guy next to me, when it happens, he's like, "Holy shit." No, he didn't say. He's like, "What the fuck?" And he like jumped out of his seat. But there's instances like when we saw The Visit, and I didn't realize The Visit was PG-13. So there were tons of kids like that age in there. The theater was packed. It was maybe not even a quarter adults and mostly just fucking kids. And they were just yapping before the movie even started. The people came in a few times, the ushers and stuff, they'd stop, but they would just start up just yelling at each other across the thing, way over the top, bugging out. And we're sitting there, me and my fiance are sitting there, and we're just like, we ended up just going out, and she's like, "Listen, it's ridiculous." And they knew, and they gave us our money back and tickets to see it again, and we saw it like a week later, and it was fine. So that sucks, because they're not focusing on the movie, they're just yelling at each other and shit. Being absolutely obnoxious. It's not like it was just some talking here and there. Whatever, you know, I don't mind that personally. But they were just going like, blah, 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 yelling at each other, blah, you know, talking, conversations everywhere. And another guy who was older just starts like laughing and just like yelling because he's like losing his shit. So that one was annoying, but they hooked us up with the free tickets and refunded that movie as well. That was back in the Seaford Theater, which we thought might have closed after COVID, but it came back. Merrick closed. Sorry about that. Merrick closed. Belmore's still open, the small theaters. But, you know, Seaford opened in like 2000, but it's a smaller theater. And they have the $5 Tuesdays. Any movie before like 4 is $5, and normal price is like $9, so it's still cheaper. Now they don't have the nice seats. They have cool, decent seats, but not the reclining seats. I've seen a lot. I've probably seen the most movies I've probably seen in that theater. I saw a lot in Sunrise Mall, and they had their movie theater as well. That closed in like sometime in 2000. The last movie I saw with my friend was The Beach. Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert Carlyle was in it. It's based on a book. I like that movie. A lot of people shit on it. I thought it was pretty good. I remember that was the last, but I saw a lot of movies in that theater. Like I said, I saw Last Crusade was in that theater. There's also a theater in Massapequa where if you know Long Island, there's an Infinity car dealership across from the Massapequa train station. That's where it was. And these are all great movies, including Dial Destiny, which is not in here, obviously, but if I was ranking them, I'd probably go Last Crusade first for me. This is my rankings. Second would be Raiders of the Lost Ark. I almost would go Dial Destiny 3 and then Temple of Doom 4 and Crystal Skull 5. I like them all, but admittedly, I don't like Temple of Doom. Like, that's why I'd put it at the back end. Maybe even last. I mean, I like it well enough, but it's not. It's like a horror indie. It's not in the same vein as the other ones. It's still really good though. They're all good, like I said. I mean, you gotta rank something right. You gotta put something last. But for me, kind of Head and Shoulders, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Last Crusade are like the two up. They're like up here, and the other three are kind of like here. You know. But like an indie I saw in the theater back then, Back to the Future 2 and 3. Yeah, because Back to the Future 2 I think was 89 as well, and 3 just came out a year later in 90. Total Recall. I remember seeing Total Recall in the theater. I think my mom had brought us to see it, because once again I was either like 10 or 11. Maybe that came out in 90, maybe I was even 12. That movie theater was weird, because sometimes, you've probably all done this at some point, like when we saw The Lawnmower Man, we bought tickets for something else, and went into like Three Ninjas or something, I don't know what it was, and we went into Lawnmower Man instead. And sometimes you'd see a movie, and then leave and go into another theater as the movie was starting. So a lot of movies in that theater. The South Park movie, Half Baked with Dave Chappelle. Just so many movies were seen in that theater. Ronin. Was that what it was called? It was Sean Bean was in it. Robert De Niro was in it. Jackie Brown we saw in there. Pulp Fiction. Natural Born Killers. And I don't even think we got ID'd for Natural Born Killers, and I would have been maybe like 14 when I saw that. They picked and chose when they wanted to like enforce the shit. Deep Rising I saw in there, classic. Rest in peace, Treat Williams. Saw World Is Not Enough in there, and Tomorrow Never Dies in there. 2 bonds. But then that closed, and then we went to Seaford a ton and the Farmingdale theaters. I've seen a lot in those as well. I've seen more in the smaller UA one. And the theater's always a good experience, you know, especially when the crowd's into it, but not like yapping amongst themselves, like super loud. You know, when you're seeing a movie and they bug out when something happens, you're like, yeah, here we go, you know. That's why horror movies are kind of the best, because, you know, people are going to get worked up and start like, ah, my God, you know. But Blair Witch was probably my best theater experience, because it legitimately had me on, it's the only movie to have me on the edge of my seat ever. I really don't get like that with movies, but I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? And nothing really even happens. And that's what's so great about it. And I love the found footage genre. Like, there are bad ones and there are very good ones. Like stuff like Hell House LLC is really good. Leaving DC is really good. Those are 2 underrated ones. I said obviously it's Blair Witch, and then the Paranormal Activities came around. First one's awesome. Second one's good. Third one, 4 I hated. I like the Mark ones. I think that's the 5th one. And then there was the Ghost Dimension. I didn't like that one. And then there was Next of Kin. They were trying for something different there, and I didn't really like that one either. But I just like that. I don't know. Those are great for me, because it's like first person, like the VHS movies and stuff too are great. Those just like quick little, it's like an anthology type stuff, things like that. I haven't seen the last one. Is it 99? I think 94 was the last one I saw. I think those are Shudder exclusives now. I don't have Shudder. Shudder is great. A great service to watch horror stuff. I used to be joined to POV Horror. It was like $2.99 a month. And they had all that stuff on there. Like that weird stuff. Most of it's decent. Some of it is just, I'll turn it off because I'm just like, nope, this isn't good. I saw one, Days to Disappearance is one where this kid goes to Hawaii. He's got family there. I think someone has just died. And he goes to something, or he does something, and all of a sudden this thing's kind of follow him, this spirit thing and shit. And another really good one. I saw a good one too that was about it's supposed to be like a YouTuber. Oh, I forget what it was called, what her name was, like the name of the movie. Smiling something, or I don't know, I could be wrong. And that was a pretty good one I saw on Tubi as well. Where like she gets a new house and like you don't know if it's haunted or someone's fucking with her, you know, Disappears. That was kind of a good one. But I like those kind of movies. And then like back in the day, I hate saying like early 2000s back in the day. It's weird now. Like 2003, I think, is when I really started to get into the tartan Asian extreme, like the Asian horror movies. A lot of stuff from Japan, Audition, Old Boy. These aren't necessarily Old Boy and Audition. I mean, Audition's kind of is a horror movie. That movie is messed up. She's like, she cuts off his feet and cuts out his tongue, I think, his hands, even throws him in a sack. And there's one point a phone rings and the sack starts moving. She pukes in a bowl and he starts eating it. But like Battle Royale, another one, like the original Hunger Games. Then there was stuff like A Tale of Two Sisters, Cello. I don't know. I think Ringu and like Juon are part of that as well. Like Dark Water, Shudder. A lot of these have been remade westerns. They're not as good. The Ring I really liked. I thought the first Grudge was pretty good. Shudder I wasn't a big fan of. I actually called up a list to try to find out some more that I had liked. But I used to buy them on DVD. I don't have any now, which sucks. Because I had A Tale of Two Sisters. I had Cello. I had Old Boy back then. They remade Old Boy too, and it wasn't as good. It usually isn't. Like The Eye is another one. The Eye series. Cinderella. I think I own this one, but I can't remember what it's about. I'm going by the covers of what they like. There's one called Reincarnation that was really good, but I don't know if that was part of it. Face. I think I owned Face. Ghost of Maynak I've seen, but I don't know if I owned it. Maynak. But there was tons of them. Most of them are good. And they were also like not just horror movies. There's all types of stuff. Oh, there's a Tale of the Slit-Faced, Slit-Mouthed Woman thing. That was a good one. But I really got into that because I just love the way they do horror. And not just in Japan, like Korea, Vietnam, all that shit. Like, it's not just, Japan. And a lot of this stuff is good. It's just creepy. They have a different, and that's good, a lot of countries, like I remember watching that. I want to say it was a Brazilian movie, but I could be wrong. It was called, oh man. Oh, this is going to piss me off. It was like a cult type movie. What was it called? Penumbra, I think it was called. And this woman's like, I think she sells apartments or something. She goes to this place and these people grab her and kind of kidnap her, and they're doing this thing. At the end, the heads get all cut off and they'll disappear, and she kind of goes nuts. The woman gets like arrested. There was a movie called Control. I think that was a Turkish movie. I think there was like a serial killer or something in the subway system. I can't remember, but that one was pretty good. There was one, I think it was called like Negative Happy. Oh, I gotta look this up. Another. And they would hold nothing back in these movies. Like, fucking, you'd be like, oh my god, they wouldn't do that over here. Let me see. It definitely was called Negative Happy. It was like something with a chainsaw. Chainsaw Edge. There you go. Yeah, I remember watching this. This is another wild movie. I can't remember much of it, but it was definitely pretty ridiculous. See, I guess it was an anime, and they made it into a live action thing. Unless it was an anime, and I cannot remember. And I remember I had like an Asian. It came in on Dish Network, I think it was. It was like a random channel showed all Asian horror stuff constantly, and I remember watching a bunch of short ones. They were on at night at like 1, 2 in the morning, and those were cool. And I have stuff like this. These things. Got Dark Tales of Japan here. Underworld. And Mysteries and Horror Tales 1. This has 3 in it. This has 6. I think I have one other one. I don't know where it is though. 2 of these I got recently. I owned this one back in the day, but I let somebody borrow it. But it's directed by like some of the known directors there. This one had, I remember this one specifically. crevices. And the guys, they go into this guy's apartment. Every crevice, like any crack by a cabinet, sealed up. And if you don't seal them up, these things, like these shadows, come out and try to grab you. But they have a lot of this good stuff on Netflix and stuff, and this kind of shit on Netflix and stuff like that too, which is nice. I'm always down to watch that stuff. Like, I love it. And even like the shows as well. I like the way they do their horror. You know, I like Western art. Well enough, it's also Inside I don't, but I just like it's just a different style and it's cool. You know. But yeah, and you know what I was watching? And this is still my favorite in the series. Admittedly, I have not seen Fallout and obviously Dead Reckoning yet. But the Mission Impossible series, the first one's still my favorite. Like I was watching on Paramount the other day. The opening, because you know they do the classic tin, the classic song from the show. You know that? And they kind of do it at the beginning of all the movies. But the first one is so like a homage to the show. It's so good. And the first one is like, I think I talked about this already. It's like a straight up like true spy espionage thriller. You know, I like the Mission Impossibles, I do. But sometimes it's like too actiony, and the first one was just pure like thriller. Great music in there as well. I think it was Danny Elfman. Brian De Palma directed it, but I know they brought the guy Kitteridge back for the 7th one. But that first one's so good. Like, it's just, I love that. I gotta get that on Blu-ray because it's just such a good movie. If I was ranking the ones I've seen up until, I know a lot of people say Fallout's awesome. I like, my top 3 would probably be Ghost Protocol. Well, first would be the first one. And I don't, Rogue Nation, I probably like a little more than Ghost Protocol. 2 and 3. 2 is my least favorite. It's not bad, but it's my least favorite. And 3 is solid. A lot of people love Fallout, though. Those are great kind of movies. I like the same thing like a Bond. The Bond movies are great. You know, they'll see it. Got the Living Daylights here. Timothy Dalton, underrated Bond. He only did this and License to Kill. But not so much this one, but License to Kill literally is like how the Daniel Craig Bonds were. Like, and I think I remember reading, was it Ian Fleming? Is that his name? The Bond, who wrote the books, I guess, came up with the character. He said, like, this is like the closest interpretation or whatever, representation of Bond. Like, his attitude and everything was him. Because the License to Kill is like a straight, like, almost like revenge movie. Like, it's gritty. I mean, my personal favorite's GoldenEye, and the funny thing is because I played the game first and saw the movie, I was like, this is awesome. It's just like, the game's just like the movie. I mean, the movie's just like the game. I like all the Bonds, including the guy who was in one was George Lazenby. He was on the one. Was he on Her Majesty's Secret Service? I think he gets married in that one. He probably gets killed. I like the Daniel Craig ones. I still have not seen the last one, No Way to Die, or No Time to Die. No Way to Die. GoldenEye's my favorite, though, and I do like Timothy Dalton ones. And obviously some of the classics with Sean Connery and Roger Moore. But yeah, I do like the Bonds. It's just fun. I need to get more of a collection again with Blu-rays. They're cheaper now, and they still look fantastic. So, I mean, 4K is getting cheaper too, but I'll worry about that when we have I mean, I think the Xbox One can play 4K, but I don't know. But yeah, it's and like I think a true 4K TV. I don't know if ours does it. But horror is probably my favorite genre. It just is. I could always watch a horror movie. I talked about some of my worst movies. So in the movies, Jawbreaker and Ghost in the Machine. Those are my top 2 worst. I don't know the best movies outside like Blair Witch I would have seen. I remember me and my 2 friends saw the 3 Lord of the Rings. We'd always set it up so we'd have nothing to do on the Friday it came out, take off or whatever, and go to see like the early show. I think we didn't do it the Fellowship of the Ring. We did it 2 Towers and Return of the King. mean, I enjoyed the Hobbits. I enjoyed the first two Hobbits. I thought the nerd in me, like I was talking about the other day, I thought the third Hobbit just didn't do enough that the book did. And it just dragged on, too. I don't know how he turned that book into 3 movies, but the first one's awesome, and the second one's really good also. And like when it comes to superhero stuff, I always like the X-Men stuff more than the other Marvel properties. I think the first movie I saw in the Seaford Theater was the first X-Men in 2000. Great movie. The second one's really good. Third one's okay. The first 2 Spider-Mans are really good as well, the Sam Raimi ones. The third one with Tobey Maguire is decent. That would have been loud. The third one has its moments. It has, Tobey Maguire with all the memes down the classic lines and shit. But compared to the other 2, it's not as good. I didn't mind it personally, but I can see why people didn't like it. But it has a lot of great scenes in it, though. Honestly, I have not seen. I think I saw the first one with the first Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. I want to say I saw the first Spider-Man with Tom Holland, too. I've definitely not seen the other ones. And I really liked X-Men First Class. And Days of Future Past was really good. Apocalypse was okay, but I thought Apocalypse looked alright in that one, but they can't. They just don't do him justice as a villain. Well, he's only in that movie, I guess, right? He wasn't in any others. And that's what sucks. And then I saw some of Dark Phoenix, and it was, or whatever it was called, and it was not good. But First Class and Days of Future Past are really good. What else do I have over here? Not just those. But you can't go wrong with indies. I need to open this up. I need to get License to Kill as well. See, they don't do this enough anymore on Blu-rays. They don't give you the commentaries. I liked audio commentaries. Like, I don't think this has any of them. Like, whenever I'm looking to buy a Blu-ray, I'm like looking for the special features, and you don't see the commentaries as much anymore. Like, when did this come out on Blu-ray? Let's see. 2015. Yeah, you see, they were still pumping them in. I feel like they're just like, nah, don't do it. Maybe they're on the 4K releases. I don't know. I do like director commentaries, though. I just like hearing them talk about what they were doing, and I remember watching like the first Pirates of the Caribbean one. Johnny Depp was on there, I think, with the director. I like when because sometimes I'll have 2 sets of commentaries with like different actors and directors or writers and stuff like that. I gotta get Ravenous on Blu-ray. I don't know why I'm holding off on that. Ravenous is another. That's like that and Blair Witch like bounce between 1 and 2 for me. I just love Ravenous. I've talked about Ravenous a lot. Yeah, I mean, movies are just great. I want to do, like, I was thinking, because after we got out of the movies last night, I was like, I wrote down, like, the movies I've seen this year, and my favorites still. I'm talking in the theater or on video, on TV. My favorite still is Dungeons & Dragons. I freaking love that movie. I gotta pick that up on Blu-ray, too, at some point. Just to have it. It's still cool to have a collection of physical movies, even though you can find everything everywhere. Something still nice about it. The way some of the streaming services are going up in price, even though it's still a deal, but like, isn't Netflix pushing like $20? You see, in reality, you're still getting your money's worth if you're watching a bunch on there per month. But say you watch 5 movies on it and 2 full shows in a month, you've gotten your money's worth, but then all of a sudden you watch nothing the next month. And you're like, I just wasted $20. So that's why it's kind of good that at least you can cancel it whenever you want. Just come back when something you want comes on, you know. Paramount Plus just went up to $6, but I mean, whatever. I'm gonna probably get rid of that anyway. Still, I feel like I've watched everything I've wanted to on there. Although I might watch Fallout on there because that's on there. All the Mission They have a pretty good selection though. I'm trying to think of everything we've seen in the movies this year. We saw Dungeons and Dragons, we saw Scream 6, Talk to Me, Haunted Mansion, Indie. It's really only been the 5. I wrote this list down. Let's see this list and see. Yeah, I don't think we saw. Oh, Knock at the Cabin we saw in the theater. That was this year, right? Yeah. We did see that in the movies. But we've seen Infinity Pool, The Blackening, Asteroid City. I talked about those. Infinity Pool was like really cool concept, and then the acting got really annoying. Mia Goth started getting so ridiculously over the top, and she's a really good actress. Actually, was Pearl this year, or was that last? We saw that, and that was pretty good as well. And then the third one comes out, right? X is the third one. The first one was, what was the first one called? Whatever. There was the first one, and then there's Pearl, and then there's another one. But she was going well over the top, like the second half of this movie, and I was like, okay. I wanted to know more about the Infinity Pool and everything behind it, the origins and all this shit. It was really cool, and like the second half, I was like, oh my god, just shut up. Like, still a really cool concept, though. Stuff like You're Next was really good. Barbarian was excellent. We saw that in Florida, I think. Happy Death Day, I really liked. Cthulhu Mansion, the best movie ever made. No, I'm kidding. I have the VHS. I think I showed it in a video. Cthulhu Mansion. It's one of those so bad movies. The first 20 minutes of that is so bad, but it's so good, and it just gets bad. We get classic stuff like that, like Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know, Evil Dead, the first couple Evil Deads. Rabid, that movie Rabid. I think it's Rabid. The thing comes out of the person's armpit. Phantasm. The first Phantasm is like a sci-fi horror gem. It's so good. It's so good. I like most of them. I think there's 3. I think there's 5 of them, maybe. There's possibly 6, but I think it's 5. Phantasm's a classic. Rabid. Chopping Mall. It was either called Killer Robot. It had 2 names. It was Killer Robots and Chopping Mall. See robot guards in the mall. These people are in there at night. Then you get all the Stephen King stuff that turned into my favorite Stephen King. What is my favorite adaptation of a Stephen King movie? Those 2 It's that came out recently are really good. Needful Things is a really good one. Thinner is good. The Shining that Stephen King doesn't like as much is really good. He did his own made-for-TV one. It wasn't bad. It was pretty good, but I don't know. A lot of people love the original one, I should say. And Dr. Sleep's actually really good. The sequel. But it's a sequel to the first movie. And Stephen King even said, he's like, I understand completely. Like, he wasn't even, I mean, he did, you know, they used most of what the book was, but they, you know, added in the stuff with the hotel and shit that was linked to the first movie. What else? Cat's Eye. I mean, they've been coming out for years. Salem's Lot. A lot of them were made for TV, like the Tommy Knockers and the Golden Years, The Stand. I think Under the Dome ended up being a show. Rose Red, Storm of the Century. There was a bunch. Most of them were pretty good. I think Maximum Overdrive was him. Where the machines like start acting on their own accord. And the kid's going to get a soda at a baseball game and it just starts pegging him with sodas. Christine Cujo. There's been a ton, my goodness, there's been a ton. App Pupil, which was a short story, so a secret window. And The Shawshank Redemption, I mean, that's technically probably his best, the best adaptation in terms of an actual, like, good, great, amazing movie. That's not my personal favorite, but I remember those came out in books. They were like, it was like 6 books, and it was like 1 part each one was bored. I think since then they probably released it in a full thing, but I don't know if they made a movie about the girl who loved Tom Gordon. That was another short book that I read of his. That was pretty good. I don't know if they ever made a movie about that one. It's like this girl gets lost in the woods, and her favorite player is Tom Gordon. I believe he's on the Red Sox at the time. And something's like following her in the woods. It's like some kind of thing. I think that's what it's about. Bag of Bones was a TV movie. That was a good book. I think that actually had Pierce Brosnan in it. But yeah, I've seen a lot of good. And you can't forget the comedies. The stuff I like, the stuff like the Naked Gun movies, like the slapstick comedy, the scary movies. Not all the scary movies, but the first few were like really funny and good. Slapstick type humor. You know. But me and my friend used to go to Blockbuster, and then sometimes, but it was like me and my one friend the most would go and get the horror movies. Other friends would come too sometimes, but it was like the 2 of us specifically that would go like all the time. Literally, we had a Blockbuster, like a 10-minute walk, and even before that, you had other mom and pop movie theaters all over the place. And sleepaway camps, those are classics. And you have stuff like The Pit and the Pendulum and stuff like that. And, you know, In the Mouth of Madness is a fantastic movie. Event Horizon, stuff like that. Movies are great. Let me think of a few more I've seen in the theater. And I'll stop this. Titanic. I saw Titanic twice in the theater, and the second time, until the boat started sinking, was unbearable. It was so boring. It is a good movie, but when you're seeing it like a week after you saw it the first time, you're like, no. I've seen a lot of more recent, within the past 10 years, horror movies. The Conjuring movies, the Insidious movies, Annabelle. Ready or Not's a good. It's not really. It's a kind of a horror movie. That was actually really good. Smile was good. In the Mouth of Madness is in, I think, early 90s. Event Horizon might be like 96 or 97. Then there's the Halloweens, the Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Streets, which are all classics. Some of them are actual classics. Other ones you just like the Friday the 13th. You're like, let's just see the kills. Because after Friday the 13th, 6 for me, 7 and 8. 7 had the kills. It was, I think, Jason fought someone with psychic powers in the 7th one. And the 8th one, Jason Takes Manhattan had its moments, but not good. And then Jason Goes to Hell was cool in the beginning because they actually lure him into the woods and they just like shoot him, like blow him away, literally. And then a dude eats his heart and possesses him, and that's how that one goes. And there was Jason vs. Freddy, which was good. Then they did a remake of Friday the 13th, which I think was kind of a remake of the first and the third one, or the second. I don't know what it was. That wasn't that good. That Nightmare on Elm Street remake was not good. The first Nightmare on Elm Street is a freaking classic. That's just the first Halloween. Obviously, it's a top movie for me. Now, like I said, you have stuff like The Exorcist. The 70s was starting to really get into that, like, you know, that shit. The Thing is another great one. I've never seen the original from, like, the 50s, I think, but the John Carpenter first one was excellent. Then you get cool stuff like the Godzilla movies. I love the Godzilla movies. You know, even the ones with dudes in a rubber suit. It's just class. It's something that brings joy to you when you see that. I like the remake one, and I like the other two as well. King of the Monsters and Kong vs. Godzilla. I've always been more of a Godzilla fan than a King Kong fan. And for me, like older movies, I'm not going like all the way back. I've seen some like of the really older movies, but some like Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds, and Vertigo and stuff like that. I've seen a few times here and there, not a long time. But classics from like back in the day, like A Clockwork Orange is amazing. That movie is ridiculous. I don't know when that came out, if that was early 70s or late 60s. I don't know. But like I Spit in Your Grave, I think was in the 70s. Like they had a lot of like the really just, oh my god. That must have been an interesting time to be going to see movies, like when the Star Wars comes out and stuff. Obviously now you see the original Star Wars, like oh my god, you know, it's primitive, but back then you were probably like, oh my god, yes. Even like seeing like Halloween and stuff back then must have been like mind blowing. I forgot to talk about the Star Wars. I do like the Star Wars as well. Maybe I'll end on that. I really like the Star Wars movies. The original trilogy I love. I love the prequel trilogy. I really like Force Awakens. I love Rogue One. I enjoyed Solo quite a bit too. I think Solo got fucked because everybody was attacking Solo because it came out right after The Last Jedi did. I saw parts of The Last Jedi. Honestly, I wasn't into it, and I left it at that. And I think I saw parts of, I think it was Rise of Skywalker where I saw one where the beginning of it was they were trying to take down one of the destroyers, and Poe Dameron's like talking. What was the guy's name? General Hux or something. And he was joking. I thought it was a comedy. Literally, they were squeezing in these jokes. It was like, what is this? It's like a comedy movie. And then I saw some other parts. I was like, I don't want to see the rest of these. I'm not into it, and I leave it at that. But I really like Rogue One, and I like Solo as well. I love the prequels, and you gotta remember, if you were a kid back then, like a young kid, you loved them. A lot of adults now, when The Phantom Menace came out, I was 20, and then I was 20, either 2 or 3, depending on when that came out. And then when I saw, I guess it was still, I was not 26 yet, because I think they all come out in May, so my birthday's like a few weeks later. But there was people that hated the prequels and still do. And listen, some of the prequels, the world building's excellent. Some of the dialogue is so bad, though. It's so cheesy. Like, the acting's solid, but some of the dialogue they were giving us, like, what? And listen, you didn't have to throw R2-D2 in there. C-3PO didn't have to be made by freaking young Anakin Skywalker. This was not needed. Yoda made sense. Obviously, Obi-Wan. You have new Jedis. You could throw Chewie in there, obviously, because he's supposed to be super old, too. It didn't need that, like, stuff. Like, listen, okay. Jango Fett's awesome. Boba Fett didn't, like, oh, look, he was a clone like that. He could have just been a dude, you know, like Jango, whatever. You could have called him. Still a really cool character, but he's just throwing in things. People, oh, look, here's Boba Fett as a kid. He was a clone that was made to age at a normal pace, not like the other clones, you know, like. I'll admit some of that was great, it's stupid, but the fight scenes were amazing. And just, it was, for me, it was like I saw Star Wars when I was a kid, but not in the theater. Obviously, I was not alive when the first one came out. I was like a year old when the second one came out, and I was like 4 when Return of the Jedi came out. I wasn't. These ones are like, I love The Phantom Menace. I think it's great. That's the first one I saw it. I was like, oh my god. And no one cheered when Jabba showed up. Jabba was in it briefly. And I was like, yes. No one else did anything. It's like the disrespect for Jabba the Hutt. And he would make sense too, because they're on Tatooine, and his race of whatever the hell he is can live super long too. So that made sense. Anakin made C-3PO, like, that was so ridiculous. I'm sorry. It was not needed. And you have other classics like Candyman. I love the second one was good too. Not the second one, I should say. That one they made a few years ago was like an extension of the first one, which was good, and I like what they did with that one. First Candyman is just, it's another gem of a movie. Remember the Hot Shots comedy movie is another one with Charlie Sheen. But like I said, maybe I'll do another movie ramble, and I'll ramble about other genres of movies as well. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for checking us out, and have a good day.